We basically implement three types of financial instruments: guarantees, loans, and equity and quasi-equity. When speaking about guarantees, those we purely provide to commercial banks in the country, and then they provide lending to final beneficiaries. In loans, it's slightly different because we both provide loans to banks and then they on lend, but we also, in some cases where it makes sense, provide direct loans to final beneficiaries. The same applies to equity, where we try to cover the whole life cycle of companies. And for the first phase, startup phase, we chose financial intermediaries. And in case of companies in more mature stage of their life cycle, we provide the financing ourselves. I would say that using financial instruments for financing final beneficiaries from European funds has both direct and indirect advantages. The direct ones are better access to financing, or in some cases even just the access of financing. Then of course the conditions for financing are usually slightly better than the common commercial ones because of the support, and also the volume of funds which can get to the final beneficiaries is higher because we combine public resources with private funds. I would say that the process usually is less bureaucratic and faster than when it comes to grants, as well as the market distortion is not that high because the conditions of our financing are usually fairly close to the market ones. And as well, we can finance up to 100% of a project, and we can also finance it in advance and not having the final beneficiary reimbursed after they have already used their own funds.
We prioritize our investments based on three main informational inputs. First is ex-ante analysis of market gaps. Second, policy goals of European Commission, Slovak state and managing authorities. And third, market knowledge of current market situation. Based on these three informational inputs, our main area of focus are SMEs. Our key for success is concentration of know-how. Financial instrument implementation is centralized in ESIF because for a small country like Slovakia, it makes no sense to spread it across multiple institutions. Also, employees come in both from private and public sectors. So combination of market knowledge and know-how with knowledge of implementation of structural fund and rules, which makes a perfect skill set for us. And also direct market approach, so we communicate often with funds and different banks and get constant feedback on our work. Financial intermediaries are selected in open and transparent fashion in line with public procurement legislation. ESIF is in everyday contact with financial intermediaries. Frequency of the communication depends on complexity of the product, and we also monitoring the speed of implementation. So if we can see there is some kind of slowdown in implementation, we are communicating with financial intermediaries and trying to solve the issue, also communicating with managing authorities for some help.
The instruments so far are performing pretty well, taking into consideration that is the first programming period when a Slovak institution deploys or implements financial instruments. We started with allocation of 554 million euro back in 2014. Now we have already placed with the final beneficiaries something more than 720 million. So we already overpassed the initial allocation by, let's say, 200 million euro. Over this period, the amount of money we have under our management was steadily increasing to current volume of 1.2 billion euro. Only from this programming period. The lesson learned from current programming period that maybe we don't need that many different financial instruments. When we finance companies through banks, We don't need to have both loan instruments and guarantee instruments.
2021 and 27 program period is we want to use smaller product range with higher volumes compared to the current program period. We also want to use multi-source strategy, so we will blend resources from current program period with Resilience and Recovery Fund and reflows from the old programming period. And the use of the new possibility combination of grant and financial instrument in one operation.